very good morning to you, our viewers. It's so good to have you on this edition of Idea Morning Digest, where we see to talk about things that affect our continent. I'm talking about the African continent. We talk science, technology, innovation, inventions, agriculture, entrepreneurship, education, everything that can shape the African continent. And it's coming straight to you from the first innovation TV in Africa, talking about Idea TV. My name is Chinatu Oji, and I'm not alone today, so I'm a bit excited. I have, well, this is not Melanin Poppin.
Okay.
This is Deborah Poppin. Hi, Deborah. Welcome to Idea Morning
morning,
Digest. It's
Miss
good to sit
Chinatu.
with you today.
It's will I say an honor sitting with an
Oh,
icon.
This child.
My
please.
icon. Good morning to every other viewers out there. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome. All right, you heard Deborah. So if you're not connected to our social media platforms, do well. This is the best time. Connect to us across different social media platforms to keep the conversation going. Your thoughts count, your opinion counts, and we want to hear from you. You can reach out to us at ideatelevisionlimited@gmail.com or on the social media platforms displayed currently on your screen. My name is Chinatu. I think I've said my name earlier, but yes, again, a reminder. Let's go on this short break. When we return, it'll be time for us to bring you up to speed with the latest happenings. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Let's now dive right into the stories making headlines. Starting out first is a story coming from Lagos, where we have that the Lagos chairman condemns Lagos market clash and left one dead. The chairman of Lagos Island local government, Taiwo Yekon, has condemned Wednesday violent clash at the Luole Urban Mall, Nnamdi Azikiwe Road, which resulted in the death of a trader and temporarily halted business activities in the Balogun market area. Eyewitnesses reported that the incident began as an argument between two salesmen, but quickly escalated, ending in a fatal stabbing. Videos circulating online showed chaotic scenes as traders and bystanders fled the area. The assailant was reportedly restrained and handed over to security operatives. Oyekon, who led a delegation to the scene after receiving a distress call, described the incident as unfortunate and avoidable. Tension briefly rose again when the friends of the deceased protested, but normalcy was quickly restored. Meanwhile, the Lagos State Police Command confirmed the incident but dismissed report of an ethnic clash. Police spokesperson Benjamin Hundein explained that the violence was a personal dispute between two traders. In his words, during the fight, one Ebuka Adindu from Abia State stabbed one Sadiq Ibrahim from Kogi State to death. Ebuka, who stabbed himself on the shoulder, became unconscious, according to Hundein. He added that the suspect is currently under arrest at the hospital and will be prosecuted once discharged. This is a very sad story. It feels like most of the stories we have on the lineup are either sad or disappointing, but this one is a sad one. And it just makes me wonder when they tell people about anger control, anger management, control your temper. One silly act caused this. But there's a narrative that's currently being pushed online by bloggers especially, and I'm happy that the Lagos chairman and the police spokesperson have come to speak to it to say that this is not a tribal thing. Two people fought. One stabbed the other. So they will be prosecuted. The person who stabbed the other will be prosecuted, which is the right thing to be done. And it's not a tribal thing, because we are seeing some comments online where people are pushing the narrative that, oh, an Igbo guy stabbed a Yoruba guy. You know, those are two people fought. Somebody committed a crime. You know the thing with raising tribal tensions, it causes a fight that you can't even fix.
What you're saying.
It goes beyond what you can see at the moment.
Yes.
And that's why I am very wary of, you know, some of the people who come out these days and try to do the work of journalists without doing diligence, without doing the necessary things. They just want to get traffic. And so the best way to say this happened is, oh, say that it's this tribe against this tribe, and that way you get the traffic that you want. But that's not the case. And I'm happy that the person who stabbed the other to death is going to face the charges. We want the full wrath of the law to play out. We do not want to see any Yankee-panky games around. We want to see things done the way it should be done. And it's a really big loss to the family, and, we extend our condolence to the family of the late young man.
Okay, for me, this is unfortunate, and it's a common example of how a small dispute between two people can actually erupt into a serious emotional disattachment. For me, I see this from a point of view of, like I said, emotional disattachment, because we are growing a community that is emotionally disattached from its own community itself. They do not think about what will happen.
Yep.
In fact, they do not even want to know the end result. Now, beyond the end result of being sentenced, let's leave being sentenced. Can we raise a community that is attached to their fellow neighbors? Somebody will look at the other person's life as your life. If your life was taken, would you want that to happen? So why would I want to take another person's life? Now, like I said, we are raising a community with emotional disattached people. They are not emotionally connected to their neighbors. They always think about themselves when it comes to finances and all of that. And that's why we raise people with will I say, high level of will I say, well, I don't know how to put this word, but it just raises dust more beyond killing, beyond committing suicide. It also raises dust of rape, stealing, corruption, all those stuff that are coming up. It is bettered from emotionally disattached people. Like I said, this is how a small problem, a small argument. Are you mad? Are you stupid argument? From one that you didn't give me sweet, and you did not give me this, you didn't give me that, and now it has erupted into death of one person.
I'm telling you, it's very disheartening to note, because I'm thinking about how the kind of regrets that the young man who committed this would be in now. That whole anger dies down the moment the person drops dead. That's the thing with anger. So we must learn to, control our anger. We must learn to take the bull by the horn and say, oh no, I'm in charge of my emotions. I'm in charge of how I feel. I'm in charge of my reaction. It's very possible that you cannot control people's action, but it is on you to decide how you want to react to a certain situation. The truth is, people will pull you to do things that you do not want to do. But be in charge of yourself, be in charge of your emotions. And now look at where this has landed him.
That's if the person regrets, actually. That's another...
I don't think he regrets. He stabbed himself as well. Okay. So what do you think that is? Okay. And if there were no witnesses there, it would be like, oh, he also stabbed me, so that happened in self-defense. But then again, people saw what happened, and it just tells you that, oh, this person felt bad about what he did, and he's trying to own up, but it's too late. Let's move on to the next story.
The U.S. court jails Osun Monarch over $4.2 million COVID-19 fraud. We see that in the United States District Court has sentenced Apetu of Ibatumudu in Osun State, Oba Joseph Olubenga Oyedele, to 56 months in prison for his role in a $4.2 million COVID-19 relief fund fraud. The judgment delivered by the judge Christopher Boyoku of the Northern District of Ohio followed Oyedele's guilty plea to 6 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, money laundering, and filing false tax return. According to the U.S. Attorney Officer, the Oyedele is a dual Nigerian-American citizen residing in Medina, Ohio, orchestrated a scheme between April 2020 and February 2022 to defraud federal loan and grant programs created to support small businesses during the pandemic problem. The investigation revealed that the monarch, who worked as a tax preparer, was owed multiple businesses and had a non-profited conspired this client, 62 years old Edward Olusomi, to submit 38 fraudulent loan application under the Paycheck Protection Program (PPP) the Economic Injury Disaster Loan (EIDL) scheme. Together, they secured over $4.2 million in illicit fund. And the court documented showed that the Oyedele personally benefited from more than $1.7 million, while Oyuwasami business received $1.2 million. Oyedele also filed the fraudulent applicant on behalf of his tax clients, taking kickback of up to 20%. Prosecutors said that he used part of his proceedings to acquire land, build a home, and purchase luxury vehicles as part of his sentence. Oyedele was ordered to forfeit his Monarch residence, return $9,689 and seized by the investigator, and pay $4,408, $5,403.38 in restitution to what he has done. He would also serve 3 years of supervised release after his prison term, and his co-conspirator Oluwasumi was sentenced in July 2024 to 27 months in prison, in adding to paying over $1.2 million in restitution for forfeiting a commercial property and fund traced to his account. The case was investigated by the FBI, IRS Criminals Investigation, and the Department of Transportation Office Inspector General under the Pandemic Response Accountability Committee Fraud Task Force. Okay, wow. I think this news came up yesterday, one of our newspaper headlines, and one of the things we said was that they mentioned him, not just his name, they mentioned him as a Nigerian. This particular news actually carries him as an American Nigerian citizen, but the news that carried it yesterday mentioned him as a monarch in Nigeria. They didn't even mention the American part, and it wasn't funny because they now brought his identity down to the country, his birth country, and this released a lot of information about how we would look like to other people outside. This is a fraud that was done by 2 Nigerians, because if you look at the other name, we will know that that particular name is also a Yoruba person. 2 Nigerians going outside to commit this kind of fraud is telling a lot about your history. You're carrying your identity, you're carrying your people's name, you're carrying yourself as a monarch of a particular state, and you go and you do commit this kind of issue. You should know that you will not be looked upon as just yourself. You will be looked upon as your office, your origin, your community. They will relate it down even to your village and what you hold as a person. Before they even look at you as a person, they would have to relate it down to all of that. And it just shows how much people would look at us as Nigerians. You know, that word has always come out that a Nigerian, a black man, is not always straightforward in whatever he's doing. Now, this is like another way for people to still come out and say, actually, is it not in Nigerian? Of course, it's normal. It tells on them. It's what they do and all of that, but it's not a nice thing. We should always know that whenever we hold positions like this, not just even holding position, as a family member of my own family, carrying my father's name, I know that if I go out, they won't call me as Deborah alone. They will say Deborah Jacobs from the Jacobs family did this. They would always want to relate it to my family. Another person hears that, will be like, wow, the family, is that how they behave? For people who know my family by now, okay, the family, that's not how they behave. Maybe this is the bad egg. But this one that they've already always crowned Nigerians as, this is just like an evidence they are trying to play out. That's Nigerians.
You know, it's very sad. But more than anything, I think I'm excited that justice is served.
Of course.
I honestly do not care where a person comes from. I do not care twice about it. My interest is, if you do something that's right, pay for it. If you do something that is wrong, pay for it.
Of course.
I just believe in consequences, that every action has a consequence, okay? So, a monarch in Osun State committed this crime. Of course, it gives off bad reputation for Nigeria, but of course he's a dual citizen, so
Gives a bad reputation.
it gives bad reputation for every place where he's associated with. But I'm just worried about the fact that this is a person in the position of leadership. You are supposed to be a leader. You're supposed to show example. How do you become a tool for fraud? Young people who are into Yahoo are supposed to look at you and say, oh, because of him, see what he's achieved for himself, I won't do it. But then we have you laundering money. We have you pushing a narrative that monies can be wired illegally. So you're pushing fraud. And of all the frauds to push, it's COVID-19. I mean, there's no fraud that is good to push, but fraud around health, lies. I can imagine
We're suffering.
of the lies upon lies and
That
all the
period of time.
interventions that came with COVID that could not have gotten to people as a result of this action. And it beats my imagination. But it's good that, you know, when you commit, the thing with people who commit some crimes is they already know that if they get caught, they know the consequences. So when they commit it, they do it with their whole chest, you know. I don't want to say hearts now. They do it with their whole chest. They face it head on. So he's pleaded guilty. That's
Of
the
course.
thing. He's pleaded guilty.
The evidence.
But you know, there's another twist to this is the fact that he was able to be caught over there. If this happened in Nigeria, I hope it wouldn't have been swept under the carpet.
I didn't want to mention
you know?
that.
I hope it didn't have to be swept under the carpet because you can just imagine the number of crimes that go on and people don't get the actual sentence or judgment for it. But then it's good that justice is served. I think that's what we should be excited about. We want justice to always be served. But then let's move on to the next story. Still around criminality, U.S. pastors arrested in $50 million human trafficking and fraud scandal. Okay. 2 prominent church leaders in the United States have been arrested in connection with an alleged 50 million human trafficking and fraud scheme following multiple FBI raids across the country. The U.S. Department of Justice announced yesterday that Michelle Brannon, 56, was arrested in a mansion in Tampa, Florida, while David Taylor, who's 53, was taken into custody in North Carolina, but are accused of money laundering, forced labor, and human trafficking. Brannon and Taylor lead the Kingdom of God Global Church, formerly known as Joshua Media Ministries International. Taylor, who styled himself as apostle, allegedly referred to Brannon as his executive director. Federal officials revealed that Taylor and Brannon operated call centers in Florida, Texas, Missouri, and Michigan, where they solicited donations under the guise of religious outreach. Victims were reportedly lured to work in the centers and forced to serve Taylor personally as unpaid attendants, known as armor bearers. According to the indictment, the victims endured long hours, lived in church-owned facilities under strict control, and were denied freedom of movement without permission. Prosecutors also alleged that women were transported to Taylor and pressured to take emergency contraceptives. The DOJ said the church collected about $50 million in donations since 2014, much of which was allegedly spent on luxury homes, high-end vehicles, boats, jets, cars, and other lavish items. Taylor and Brannon now face 10 federal counts, including forced labor, conspiracy to commit forced labor, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Each charge carries a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison. Okay. Looks like the saying it rains everywhere. Really rains everywhere. It's happening. We just saw what happened in Nigeria now in the US. Okay. Justice. You know how people just disguise and call themselves religious leaders when they know deep down that they have other ulterior motives to win over innocent, unsuspecting people to donate. Imagine being able to run a criminal ring since 2014 up until now.
No.
And they've gotten donations, about $50 million. That's a lot of money. Had people in labor, had women take contraceptives, that means there were cases of sexual harassment as well. There were cases of hard labor. there were cases of maltreatment, a whole lot of counts. But the FBI is really working. I think this just tells us that, yes, there is a move. There is a move to purge the world of bad elements, and it's something that I'm very interested in. It should happen. I do not know why people call themselves, claim to be pastors, when in practice they are not. Like, just be your agency. Tell yourself, this is what I want to do. I want to be a criminal. I want to be a criminal. Do not hide and pretend and let people think that, oh, you are doing an outreach, and then people start donating money when your sole aim was to lure them into making money for you. It was to, gather money, push a wrong narrative, make people donate money that they do not have, because it's very easy to tell people, oh, I'm a religious leader, please donate for this outreach, and people are moved and, they send the money. I'm happy that it looks like justice is going to be served, because they're about to face their persecution.
Of course.
But I'm very saddened that I can just imagine how many people may have sold their properties, how many people may have starved to raise some monies to send to them to donate, may have taken even debt to, donate. And this is what's happening. This is what is playing out. But it's a good thing that the FBI are on their toes and, responding to this situation.
Like you said, it's a good thing that we have people capable of purging not just the normal citizens, but people who hold positions in the country of their wrongdoings. It's good to see that somebody can stand and say to a leader that if you do wrong, you'll be persecuted for it.
Yeah.
Like you said, we're bringing the other story down to Nigeria. If it happened, will we cover it up, or would we bring them out and bring them to justice? Would we also do this? Now, when it comes to these two people, you talked about religious leaders. There's a saying that always goes that in the end time, false prophets would always rise. And these are the examples of false prophecies and false prophets. Now, first of all, to every money launderer, they've looked for better schemes of laundering their money without getting noticed. And the easiest way and fastest way to go through is the church, because the church gets donations. The church gets offerings, gets tithes. So you can easily hide the money and say it's offering. It's tithes. After all, you do not count the people by their tithes. You do not say this person gave this particular tithe. You just know that you have a particular amount of people in your church, and those people give tithes every day, and they give offering every day, and they donate. Of course, they will donate. They will give prophet offerings and all of that. That's the easiest way for people to hide money laundering. And I think that was one of the schemes these two people looked into when they were going into this particular business. So many people have seen the church as a business center, a way to make money. The ones that are not money laundering, they are also still using the church as a way to make money. But like we always say, amongst the bad ones, there are always the good ones, of course. And thank God that the FBI is there to always purge, like I said, these people, these leaders, these people holding positions, people that are carrying other people along, people that people are looking up to, icons that people have trusted, have put their trust in. Accountability is being brought to justice. They are accountable for what they do. Now, people who have looked up to them for like how many years, imagine what they say when they see this. Oh, that's my pastor on the TV. I brought it down to, I always try to relate it to the name you're carrying. You're carrying the pastor name. You're carrying the church. Because if you notice, they mentioned the church. They mentioned how big the church is. The people who are following. Now, imagine me saying, that's my pastor. Wow, on the news. And he's been. So imagine all of that. But like I said, people would always look for a way to carry out their criminal activities. But the fact that they are being brought to justice is very important and is good. And more will be brought to justice for those who are still hiding under the canopy of name and position will be brought to justice. Of course, that will happen.
Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Okay, in the next news, we see that the Equatorial Guinea president's son jailed for selling national airline plane. A court in Equatorial Guinea has convicted Osun Obiang Nos, a son of the president Oteodoro Obiang Numa, for illegally selling an aircraft belonging to the country's national airline. According to the Supreme Court Press Director Hilaro Mitogo, the ruling delivered on Tuesday sentenced Obiang News 50 to 6 years in prison unless he repays the state for the missing aircraft. Obiang News is a former director of National Carrier CB International and was found guilty for selling an ATR 72 5000 plane to a Spanish company and pocketing the precedents. Now he has been under house arrest since 2023 on the order of his half-brother, Vice President Otadoro Num Obiang, also the son of the president, and the court ruled that Obiang News has avoided jail if he would avoid jail if he pays about $255,000 in compensation to the airline, along with the additional damage and the state fine. However, he has acquitted the separate charge of embezzling and abuse of the office. In addition to leading the airline, Obiang News previously served as Secretary of State for Sport and Youth in the oil-rich Central African nation, which has been ruled by his father for more than 46 years. We've been, like you said, the news that we've been hearing has really, it really just shows, it still shows that justice is being done, but it really just shows how much people violate their position, the accountability that has been trusted into people's hand, that they hold you accountable. Yes, this person can be held accountable. The trust, I cannot even explain. After swearing an oath to get into that seat, the oath to uphold your seat, but when you get there, you become something else. You just use that. Will I say they get carried away by power, or will I say money has eaten up the people's mind, or are people with that hold position, money has eaten their minds up? Because this is just showing how much people love money than their positions. They don't even, it shows that people do not really love what they do. So me ruling a particular people as the president or the governor or the chairman of a particular company doesn't mean that the reason why I entered that seat is not because of I feel like I want to be a leader. A leader that would lead people the right way. A leader that will bring people to do the right thing. That's not my love. That's not the reason why I entered that seat. The reason why I entered that seat is because of my love for money. I want to go there and make sure I eat my own national cake. And make sure I eat that I get everything I can get before I leave that seat. That's the mindset so many people entering the leadership seats enter now with. And it's not even a nice, I don't even know how to explain this. I really am very, very sad. Seeing all this news, it's a sad one. People with position, people that other people look at, and you do this, and what do you expect other people have been looking up to you? Now, they said the father has been serving in that seat for 47 years, and it has not been recorded that your father did this, but you as the son came into that seat.
Well, you know what they say about absolute power corrupting absolutely. I think that's the case I explained out here. Sometimes people think that, but we see it happen, especially in Africa, when your president's son is just like the president, because the kind of respect, the kind of regard that's accorded the president's family.
Of course.
Sometimes it gets into the heads of some of the children, and you feel like you can just do it with public property, or you can take whatever you want, you can do as you please, and that is what we see. That's what has just happened with the son of Teodoro Ngwame. It's sad. It's very sad. He's been sentenced to 6 years, but what message is that telling about Africa? What is it telling about the leadership, the kind of leadership that we have in Africa? That we are having the kind of leadership where it's like, it's not service. It is an avenue to enrich myself and my family. It is an avenue to tell my children, you can do whatsoever. there's been a series of cases, but no. I mean, he's tasked to either return the aircraft or serve for 6 years, and I think that's fair enough if you ask me. It's really fair enough, but I'm just disappointed with the kind of leadership that we have in some African countries. Can we just do better? Can we understand that the position of leadership is a place for service, not to enrich your pockets? It's a place where you show the way, you're leading the way, you're telling people, I want to fix this. You're not telling us that because there's how leadership would look like, and everybody thinks that I have to be a leader to make an impact, or I have to be a leader for me to make money, because it's like it's so much a glorified office where you think that people are dying. People even kill themselves to become councillors. And now I'm talking about in the context of Nigerian politics. Local,
just to get there.
ward councillors is like, oh, even chairpersons of local government is like, I have to be that person. But if leadership is really about service and not just about enriching our pockets, you'd realize that we'd have fewer people. And the people who come forward are people who are ready to actually lead and serve. And I'm hoping that we get that right one day in Nigeria. I'm hoping that we tick these boxes, because it's really disheartening to see that we keep going over and over and over with the same things. Like we're just moving in circles and not moving forward. We're just sitting one place and hoping that things can change when we are not even changing. But time is not on our side, and I just like us to quickly do like a rundown of the headlines we brought your way, the news stories. Like I said when we started, the news stories are not either sad or disappointing. But make with it what you wish. For us, we are here to just inform you and let you know what we also think. And the first story we brought your way is that chairman condemns Lagos market clash and left one dead.
Second story brought your way was U.S. court jails Osun Monarch over $4.2 million COVID-19 fraud.
And you also heard that U.S. pastors arrested in $50 million human trafficking and fraud scandal.
The last story is Equatorial Guinea president's son jailed for selling national airline plane.
Okay, it's now time for us to go on a short break. When we return, it'll be time for us to have a discussion segment. I can't wait to share with you. We are talking about everything that's happened today. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's still Idea Morning Digest. It's now time for our discussion segment, and today we'll be looking at when leaders betray public trust, lessons that we can learn from high-profile criminal cases. We can see that the recent events that have put a spotlight to abuse of authority at the highest levels. For instance, in the U.S., church leaders are accused of exploiting followers in a $50 million human trafficking and fraud case. In Equatorial Guinea, the president's son was convicted for illegally selling a national airline. Both cases highlight how power, whether spiritual or political, can be misused for personal gain. And now we want to talk about why trust is a vital currency in leadership and what happens when leaders betray that trust. I'll be doing that together with Deborah. The first thing is public trust and leadership. I think just yesterday, Cynthia and I were talking about how we should not just, we're encouraging people to go out and vote, to not think that their votes don't count, because when they are silent, they're empowering the corruption that they think they're trying to stay away from. So we're telling people, go out and actually vote. That's the only way your voice matters. That's the only way you can enforce your decision in a system where you belong to. And today we're looking at how trust is a vital key or a vital tool in leadership. If you do not vote for the right person, or if you don't vote for somebody that you trust, you can be sure to have somebody that will run away with you, misuse public funds, misuse public assets, misuse public office. And so, this is a pointer for me that many African countries will be having elections soon. Nigeria, case in point, 2027. The quality of leaders that you elect reflects who you are as a person. So if you want a trustworthy leader, do your checks, do your homework well. Ensure that whoever takes that seat is somebody who can be held accountable, somebody who has public trust, and doesn't just lead, but in the words of John C. Maxwell rather, is a leader who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. The leader who knows what he should do, where he should do what, and exactly how to implement things. We do not want people who are interested in farming fans. People who are interested in jamborees and long queues and sirens and the paparazzi that comes from being a leader or a political or a public office holder. So, ensure that leadership and trust works together. Many of the problems that we have in Nigeria is that we know that we cannot trust these people, but we feel like because he's my tribesman, because he's somebody that I think, very weird reasons sometimes. So whoever we are having, whoever you're saying, I want this person to be my leader, whether it's politically, in the religious sector, because when bad things happen to leaders, or when leaders shows bad examples, or are convicted of certain crimes, it just tells you that they were never to be trusted in the first place. And sometimes we get the signs, we see the red flags, but we do not heed. We just think that we can maneuver, we can work with this. Or maybe the person is a very good public speaker. The person has the best motivations to give. The person dresses so well. And those things captures you and it's like, oh, these things are enough. You're not interested in the content. You're not interested in how has this person handled funds. It's just like, maybe I know somebody who we've been together in an organization. The person was a treasurer for whatever reason, and then the person now, I know how the person handled funds, and then the person is now appointed and made to handle a position that requires working with money.
Yeah.
And I know very well that this person didn't do well before, but because I think, oh, I can get favors from the said brother, then I'll just keep quiet. I'm like, okay, let him just go. He's our person. Patrice, the member of C is our thief, so let's allow him. He's our thief. So there's this mindset. Yes, we know he's a thief, but he's our thief. He's a thief, but he's from my place. It's better to have my brother than to have somebody who can be trustworthy. Do you understand? So some of these mindsets are things that we must totally do away from. Do away with, rather. Ensure that leadership and trust go hand in hand. If you want to get quality deliverables, if you want to get the kind of leadership or the kind of society that you want, ensure that if you don't trust somebody, then there's no reason to trust the person. Right?
Actually.
Let me hear from
Okay,
Deborah.
bringing it down to Nigerian government, I heard you talking about election and all of that. You notice if we want to heal the wound of inaccountability in Nigeria, or this trust issue in Nigeria, if we want to heal that wound that has already been scarred in people's hearts, we must first start from political parties. Because if you notice, they are the one who produce the people. They sell the tickets to people, and we get to see who to choose as president. I remember the period of the last election where we saw President former runner for the presidency, Atiku Abubakar. Then I think there was the two that came. They were the two that came out first, and we started seeing things online like, how would you give us Lucifer and give us the devil and give us the devil agent and decide or tell us to choose between the two of them? They are both the same people. They do the same thing. We've not seen track record of their works that will say, okay, there's no corruption in it, and we want to choose these people as our president. Then when Peter Obi came up, everybody was having a little bit of hope. Now, I'm bringing this down to back to our work when it comes to choosing the leaders. The people in charge of choosing these leaders, can you, before you sell tickets to anybody, make sure that they have a track record that is clean? Can you look at the history? I think before you get to work in an organization, they would have looked at your history, your history, your criminal record, your medical record, and all of that. They would want to use all those things to actually acknowledge if you are worthy to sit on the seat of leadership. Can we do that when it comes to choosing our leaders as Nigerians and as Africa as a whole? Before we choose our leaders, can we try to look at their track record? What have this person done before? What has been said by this person before now? That we will know that, yes, so this person, when we see the person sits on the seat, the person can be accountable for. Someone can come out and say, yes, this person is accountable. Now, beyond that, let's leave that. There are people who still are good. They have clean slates. And when they get to the position, like we said in the last news, when they get to that position, power eats up your mind. And the only thing you're thinking of is money. How to eat, how to gather. After all, it's my own cake. It's my time to eat the cake. Let me eat well, because I know that by the time I leave, the next person coming after me will still come and eat. I don't know when I will see this opportunity to eat again. Those are the mindsets people come into leadership with. So even if I'm having a clean slate, I asked a friend of mine, if you become the president of Nigeria, what will you do? Say, when he gets to power, he will eat. He will make sure he gets his own share. After all, he has been suffering. If you ask the normal Nigerian man, that's what they will tell you, that they will make sure they do this. It's very few people you would get that will tell you, oh, when I get to that presidency seat, I want to make sure that this particular government, I'll first look at the whole governmental seat and make sure that I scan everybody. I want to make sure that innovation is first. It's very few people that have that mindset as Nigerians. So if Nigerians, the common Nigerian man can say that if he gets to sit, he wants to go and eat money, what would his leaders say? It is out of what our leaders have given to us to eat that we too were now born with that ideology that the leadership seat is not for trust. It's not even for, I don't want your trust. I don't need your trust. You don't need to trust me. I just want to get there and eat my money. Most of them do not even care about trust. Let's be sincere with each other. Most of them do not care about people who trust in them. Because if you care about somebody trusting in you, I'm not sure you would do this. They do not care about your trust.
Well, so we are not in any way pushing a political agenda saying, oh, this person is a corrupt or this person is a saint. What we are just saying here is that whoever is put forward, have track record, and, let the people, of course, the people cannot really decide when it comes to party, but we're not just talking about leadership in politics now. We're talking about in every sphere, leadership in the workplace, leadership in the church, leadership in the mosque, leadership in every organization that requires leadership. In the bank, they have MDs. In agencies, they have DGs, So leadership in every sphere counts. How you act as a leader in that small office tells a whole lot about who you are.
Yeah.
So when we say build trust, it starts from the corner, it starts from the small office, it starts from your house, it starts from everywhere. But let us also talk about how accountability can play a role here. How institutions, through checks and balances, can prevent leaders from abusing their offices. And this brings to mind something. Do you think that we should, have public offices holders when they show the trust of people in the sense of get involved in corrupt practices like fraud, trafficking, laundry, should they face harsher punishment than the ordinary citizens? What do you think?
Yes. To whom much is given, much is expected.
Mm.
And if you cannot give what is expected of you, much should be given, or much punishment should be given to you. Holding a particular position, like, how would I say this? Now you cannot call, let's bring it down to our family unit. As a senior sister and I'm a junior sister, I'm your junior sister. Now, if my parents will come to the house and expect that something should be done, they will expect, if they don't see it from my side, they will expect that you should have told me what to do. True or false? Now, they will punish you not because of I was not, of course I'll be punished, but they will punish you first because they believe that you're the bigger person. You should be able to know what to do. Now, they are leaders. We put them there because we know that these people are better than, not just better than us, but these people are people who can actually lead us into something right. Now, if you do not do right, then I'm very sure.
So you think the punishment should be
the
harsher
punishment
for them?
should be, I want to say the punishment, you will not like it. They should remove them from seat and never put them in any position again. Because, of course, they've laid out what they can do with leadership, with power. If power is given to me, if money is handed into my hand, this is what I will do. That's what they're trying to tell you with what they've done. See it, or this is what I will do. So why will you see it and still give them? No, they should remove them from those seats. After removing them, don't give them those seats.
I don't even think it's enough to just remove them from this. I think that they should face the full.
Of course, they will face.
Because, sometimes when you're handling certain offices, the law sort of protects you. But when you're out of that office, of course, you are now an ordinary citizen. But then again, you must have built network. You must have built a very strong connectivity of things where you can afford to meander and find your way around things. But in a country where the truth prevails, it doesn't matter who you are. And that is where I'm gunning at. I'm hoping that we get to that point in Nigeria or in Africa as a whole, regardless of your office, regardless of whose daughter, whose son you are, you can face the full wrath of the law when you go against the law. And nothing protects you. So there's no big thief and there's no small thief. Because right now it feels like the small thieves face more punishment than the big thieves.
Of course.
So it's like, if you steal a goat, you see all the jungle justice that happens, and then you see millions of naira and billions of naira.
Somebody will swallow billions of naira
and people still have to appreciate you for the good works you've done in the community. Yes. They appreciate you for building a door to a toilet. What are we saying? So there's room for accountability, but like Deborah said, the punishment for those who have big offices should even be bigger. And really, there should be big thief, small thief, or should we have everybody face when it is the law? I'd rather, if you do something as stipulated in the law, just face it.
Yes.
Just face it. So if you steal a goat, what does the law say about stealing a goat? If you steal 10,000, what does the law say? If you steal 1 million naira, what does the law say? If you steal 100 million naira, what does the law say? So I think if we work that way, it's easier to get a hold of things and fix things. But if we keep finding a way to get out of issues, finding a way to use our network to get out of things, we are promoting a whole lot of godfatherism, and it's like, without a certain godfather, you cannot attain a certain height. It's like, without belonging to certain quarters, you cannot do certain things. And it just robs of bad system.
You're just fostering future problems for yourself. You're fostering, you're harboring, you're keeping, you're incubating it, because more will rise, and worse than what you have seen. If I stole 100 today and you didn't do anything, I was able to cover up. I will steal 200 tomorrow and still cover up, and I'll keep stealing bigger than that.
And I think the citizens even have a big role to play here. Citizens
very
can hold
big.
their leaders accountable. And you can start holding leaders accountable by knowing the kind of person who gets into office. Trust me, if people come together and say, from the grassroots level, from the ward level, and say, this councillor cannot get into power, this chairperson cannot get into power, and you have solid reasons, you do not vote the person. I told Cynthia yesterday, imagine that everybody comes to that ward and we have 4 councillors or 3 lined up for the election from different parties. And everybody who came did not vote for any of them. How are they going to rig themselves into the office?
Of course.
Because some of those elections happened openly.
Yes.
And nobody did anything. People had registered with their PVCs and they decide. So just imagine as well that you voted for a particular person because this person's quality stands out. And it's not about tribalism. It's not about place of origin. It's not about, what the person... It's really about who the person is and what the person can offer to the community. You realize that we'll have more efficient leadership. We'll have a trustworthy kind of leadership, not the ones that you'll see you have leadership and you're thinking every time, why did I do this? And you sold out your vote for maybe 5 cups of rice and a few pieces of seasoning cubes and 1,000 naira. And where does that end you? So we have to start taking ownership of leadership. We have to now understand that everybody has a major and a key role to play in deciding your vote, your choice is very decisive. It dictates what's going to happen for you. And whether you like it or not, the decisions you take through your leadership or through your vote comes back to you one way or the other. So we have to take account, we have to hold dearly what matters to us. And it starts from deciding who you entrust with your votes, entrust with your life, who you say, oh, you're fit to lead me. If you cannot hold somebody accountable as a councillor, do you think you can hold the person accountable as a governor? You can't. So can we not make excuses and allow people who shouldn't be in leadership positions, be in leadership positions? But we are wrapping up now, so I want to just get your closing thoughts, Deborah.
Like I said, and like we would always say, accountability is very important. We've been saying this all through this whole news, from the news down to the discussion segments, that accountability is important for every leadership role. Too much is given, much is expected. Do not go into that seat with the idea of eating. Let's see that we raise leaders that want to lead because of the need. They've seen that people really need to be led right, not for the need of creating an avenue of laundering money for their generations to come. So yes, we want to raise those kind of leaders.
All right, you've heard Deborah. I mean, to whom much is given, much is expected, rightly said by Deborah. It is in your hands to decide what happens in the public space when it comes to leadership. So take ownership of whatever you decide to do. If you want to get a criminal into office, good. If you want to get somebody who is not such a bad criminal, good. If you want to get a saint, good. It is up to you, but just know that your life is dependent on the decisions that you make today. So make sure that whatever decision you make counts. Until we come here next time, do well to stay connected to us across the different social media platforms at Idea Television. We want to hear from you. We want to know your thoughts as well on this very interesting issue. But for now, we say bye.